Everybody vamos, put up your manos. Members attempt to unite all Chicanos, Latinos, and Los Estados Unidos. Don't care if you're Ricans or even Cubanos. Look at our coaches. We have more in common, don't let them divide. These suckers are vultures. Either we standing together or better be standing aside. Now is the time, don't know about you, but I'm gonna ride. We gotta climb, fight for your Vegas, man, where was your pride? Where were the gunners that you got inside? Look how our ancestors came to this country. They tried to be living the American dream. Don't throw it away. They promise you money and catch your aging for the machine. Pick a new team, you flesh socialism, but that is a system that you wanna bring. You need to think, we gotta fight communism, cause it look like we on the brink. Connect all the links, a one-party system is taking the power from all of the people. We need to think, when will you listen? These people are evil and won't treat us equal, so what is your plan? Hand in hand, we're standing together, cause it's the one never to do what you can. Please understand, we gotta do better, so walkers remember that we took a stand. Escúchame, 24 es el año, si se puede. Lucha, lucha por la libertad. Órale, vamos.
Yo, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to Latino Free Minds, episode number 77. And on this episode, the Asian Latino, Matt Kim. How you doing?
Hey, thank you for having me, guys. Amazing.
Thanks for coming on. How you doing, Danny?
Thanks for coming on.
How you doing?
All good here.
You good? And you, Danny?
Doing good.
Good.
Doing good. We were just talking about the heat. 109, dry as hell.
Yeah. No, it feels good though. Like you said, you get used to it, right? I guess. And
when I first moved from the Bay Area, the first summer, I was like, what mistake did I just make right now moving over here? And then like 3 years later, I told my wife, I'm like, hey, it's not that hot anymore. And she was like, you just got used to it because it's still hot.
No, yeah, I think that applies to Fresno too, out here. When we moved the first summer, crazy. But now I'm used to it. It doesn't bother me as much. That's for sure. Yeah. So, Matt, I think weren't you just in San Francisco this weekend?
No, where was I this weekend? Man, I've been traveling so much recently.
You didn't go to
I don't
the
even
Pride
remember
Parade?
where I am. Oh, yeah. I'm hanging out the Pride Parade. I'm doing my thing over there.
You didn't know you were going to go, huh?
I was in Hilton Head over the weekend doing some family time. Definitely not doing the Pride Parade, that's for sure.
Now they just bring it to you. They bring it to your timeline, and it's like you're right there, front row.
Dude, can they stop reposting that shit? It's so annoying. Seriously. Like, you can't open your X account, especially X. X is the worst. You can't open it with like some guy blowing another guy like in your face. Like, I don't want to see that. I have no interest in seeing that. And it's so gratuitous. It's constantly in your face. It's so annoying. And yesterday, and Dan, I think you saw, I got so frustrated. Anyone that reposted it, I just started blocking them. I don't even care who you are. I don't care how big of an account you are. If you're reposting it, I just start blocking. I think I blocked 10 of them in a row. Mm-hmm. And after I blocked 10 accounts, the algorithm stopped showing me. I think they understood, like, you don't want to see it anymore. Like, this is it. And it took like 10 blocks to get it out of my feed.
Damn.
Which is crazy.
Yeah, I unfollowed a lot of people. I just straight up unfollow. Yeah. And I was telling Christian earlier, it's like, I don't go to that event because I'm not even imagining what's there, but I can already, in a sense, imagine what the hell I'm going to see if I do go there. That's why I don't go. Could I go? Yeah, I'm close enough to make the drive if I really wanted to go, but I don't want to be there. So, and that's the thing. I was, like you said, it was on X. I even thought about like, I'm just going to straight up delete X because I don't need the shit. It's the second time it happens in a few months. So
yeah, they did it after the gay sex in Congress, right?
Yeah.
Is that what they?
That's another one.
Yeah, it was just like in your face. Every other post is like two guys having sex. I'm like, dude, this is not what I want to see. This is not what I signed up for. And they should give you some sort of warning.
Yeah, I think there is, but I don't think they're just sharing it and then they don't consider that. Yeah, you don't want to see it.
Well, I think the people that share it are worried that you're not going to click their post. So they just share it, and they don't care about like what the viewer sees. They just want their engagement, and that's really what it is. Just engagement farming, you
Mm-hmm.
know. And what it does is actually helps the other side, because they're like, look how many views we got. Everyone cares what we're doing. And there's people that are maybe on the fence, that are kind of maybe a little more conservative, like lettered. And then they're like, oh shit. Like if I put my stuff out there too, maybe I can go viral. And it creates more people to, it creates more bad actors, is really what it does. And
Mm-hmm.
I'm done with it. Like if anyone that posts that stuff over and over again in my feed, like from now on, my rule is I'm just gonna block. And I've never blocked anyone before. But this weekend, I don't know. Something just like clicked in me where like I'm done with this. I don't want to deal with this anymore. I'm just blocking anyone that does it, because it's so disingenuous, and it's obviously just for the sake of engagement farming. Like they don't think they're making change. They don't think they're making a difference. They don't care at all. They're just doing it because they want more clicks and views. And bro, like get your clicks and views from somewhere else. I'm out of here. And I just blocked everyone.
Yeah.
No, that's true. Daniel, you've talked about this a bunch of times. Is that people that are, more on the conservative side, you're trying to spread a certain message, and that's not the message that we're trying to spread either. And the other thing that, to add what you were saying, Matt, is that it also it makes it seem that that happens more often than not, and actually it doesn't happen that much. But it gives that impression too, so it doesn't do a service to what we're trying to present out there, is that we're the majority. So if you're doing that and you're a conservative, you should probably rethink about posting that type of stuff right there.
I almost feel like they want to see it. They're like
They
themselves. Like they watched it like, oh, this is good. I want to share this. Like, why do you even want that on your feed? And why do you want that in your profile? Like, I'm going to click on one of these guys' profile. All I see is all this gay sex. I'm like, all right, like maybe that's what this guy's about. Like, why would you want that?
Yeah, I've always said, most of the time, I mean, on X, I guess you could just retweet. But like when you're posting it on Instagram, it's like you have to download that shit to your phone. So it's like, can you imagine, like,
that's a lot of effort.
If they found your phone.
Let me make a quick remix to this video. I'm gonna be right next to the other naked dude, and I'll talk about it then.
Yeah, I gotta see this. I gotta see what's going on.
I believe you. Gays in San Francisco. Who would have thought?
Yeah. Like we all know that there's a lot of gay people in San Francisco. We all know they get into weird stuff. Like this is a known fact amongst everybody.
Yeah.
Like, what are you trying to?
So go ahead.
No.
Go.
No, well, I'll just say, the way San Francisco, right? You have the mayors talking about how many trannies do you know? I don't know if you've seen that, and they're like, well, I know more than you. I know more than you. I'm going to give you a second chance. Name 3. Oh, man. There's brands of trannies now. You just... San Francisco.
It's wild. It's wild. Yeah, but that was, like I said, shout out to you, because right when I got on X, the first tweet I saw was yours. And I read it and I was like, they fucking did it again. And I stopped scrolling, but as soon as I went up, someone had posted it right after that. So I was like, fuck. So yeah, it's crazy. It's I don't get it. I've never gotten it from day one, other than you want likes, reactions, like you said, engagement. I mean, I don't find it useful, other than normalizing it. I know you're trying to call it out, but the more and more and more and more you post it, it just becomes, you desensitize people to that shit. That's just how I feel. So I don't find any positive to it in my
live in a clicks and views economy, right? Clicks and views is a driving force behind everything. It's how they determine policy. It's how they determine who is going to run for office. It determines like who's on TV, who's on networks, who goes viral, right? Clicks and views is everything.
Yeah.
And clicks and views is a currency of the world right now. And all we're doing is taking these really bad ideas and giving them our currency. It's just making them richer. And people don't realize that if you want it to go away, stop talking about it. And once you stop talking about it, like people don't think they should do it, and people don't realize they can do it, and people have no incentive to do it because they don't get any currency back. The clicks and views are the currency of the world, and we're giving them currency by continuing to share their content. Stop sharing their content.
Yeah. Hey, who's that black actor that actually said that they asked him, how do you stop racism? And he answered with, stop talking about it.
I think
I
it
think that
was
was Denzel, wasn't it?
it was
I
either
think it was
Denzel
Denzel.
or Morgan Freeman. One of those two.
It was
Yeah,
one of them too. Yeah.
like that. Yeah, I mean, I agree. It's the same thing with racism. It's the same thing, and same thing with any ism, right? You stop
Yeah.
talking about it, kind of dies out because there's no incentive to do it. You know, think, I think majority of people aren't bad people in their hearts. They're just not.
Mm-hmm.
But once you put an incentive structure out there for them to be bad actors or pretend to be bad actors or to spread bad messages, you know, you're encouraging it. Don't give them the currency, and most of the problems go away. I believe it.
Yeah, I
Stop
agree.
being the
Yeah.
microphone.
Mm-hmm. Well said. Yeah.
I agree with that.
So
Very
you
true.
you did that video today because I think me and Danny were talking about this yesterday about Biden, the debate, how it went, and the whole getting Biden out of there. Uh, we kind of talked about it before that in a sense we wouldn't be surprised if that happened. We, didn't know exactly how, but you kind of see it in a sense starting to play out how they want to do it. Um, what is? I know you did the video, but kind of overall, what's your thought on that?
Well, I mean, I think they knew. I mean, for sure they knew, right? For the last 4 years, they knew that Biden is not fit. That's not a surprise. People knew that's true. People have been saying it over and over again, and people knew that going to the 2020 election. But they needed someone. They needed someone quick. They needed someone that has kind of name recognition because they really wanted to win the election. And they propped him up, and they did the weekend Bernie's thing, and they put him into presidency, which is fine, I guess. Whatever. Like they already did it. It is what it is. And I think they realized that 2024, he just can't win. He's just not popular. You know, not only is he not popular, but he's just there are too many visuals out there of him falling, of him slipping up with his words, of him saying end quote, which is so weird that he does that. Like stop saying end quote. And the teleprompter people, stop putting end quote into the teleprompter. He's reading it. Stop doing it. The people who are writing the teleprompter are just as bad as Biden because they don't realize he's done it over and over again. Stop putting end quote into the teleprompter. That would solve a lot of problems.
But
So
he's
I
not
think
gonna know when to start and when to end, man. So
it'd be better if he just there was no punctuation, nothing. Just read word by word. And people are like, all right, he just reads, he just talks funny, but like that's fine. It's okay. Because people give him like a certain leeway of pass already. Right.
Mm-hmm.
He's old, he's like not fully there. So if his words aren't fully coherent, then people will kind of give him a pass. They don't expect him to speak like Gavin Newsom. I don't think anyone does. He just needs to read the words in order and not even have any inflection and just say it just like this. And it'd be fine because no one would really know the difference. But they want to put in the inflection points, they want to put in the punctuation. It really throws them off. Total tangent, by the way.
no,
And I
but
think,
it's valid. I think everybody knew it on the right. Everybody that was conservative, but the left was trying to keep the dream alive, and they kind of kept on propping up Bernie, to your point, and dragging him around all over the place. But in my opinion, I think it's been a setup for a long time. And I was telling Daniel this, and the dead giveaway is the earliest debate, I think, in presidential history, if I'm not mistaken, outside of the debate commission, if I'm not, I think that's what it is, right? So it was outside of that. Um, and I think the other thing that was a setup was when he was in LA and they ended that campaign there that night. Obama made it a point to grab him by the arm and walk him off the stage, and he totally looked like he couldn't even walk. So I think it was a total setup. And I told my wife, we finished watching it, not even seconds after it was done, Democrats were going on panic mode. Oh, I think this was a loss for Biden. All the questions that were being asked are now true. They need to think about a different direction and all that other stuff. And they didn't miss a heartbeat. I mean, they went to that right off the bat as soon as it was done. So to me, in retrospect, you stand back and you see all of that play out, and the guy got set up.
I mean, I think they've been setting him up since last year.
Mm-hmm.
I remember when I saw Gavin Newsom give the reaction speech to the first primary debate, I think ended December or beginning of December. And I was like, dude, why is Gavin Newsom on Fox News giving the response to the debate? Why are they having a Republican primary debate and Gavin Newsom is doing the response? Like, oh, they're in on it too. It's the whole uniparty that's in on this,
There it
right?
is.
Newsom, there's no reason for Gavin Newsom to be doing that. And then they hadn't given the reactionary speech after the State of the Union. They keep on putting him out. Why is he on Fox News over and over again when he's supposed to be unlikable? When they say California hates him, but yet he's on Fox News and Republican TV constantly. And at that moment, it's like, oh, they're setting up for him. Because the reality is, for the Democratic Party, they're going to vote for whatever the Democratic Party props up. And Gavin Newsom is essentially the younger version of Joe Biden. He's a company guy. He says exactly what the party wants him to say. He falls in line, right? And Gavin Newsom is really well spoken. He's relatively good looking guy. He shows really well on camera. He does really well in debates. Why was he debating Ron DeSantis? He's not running for anything. That should have been another question mark, but he was. And Fox News is the one that hosted that, which is again weird.
Mm-hmm.
I think Gavin Newsom's gonna be the guy. I've been thinking so since December of last year that Gavin Newsom's gonna be the guy for them. It just makes the most logical sense.
I think we all had that question when we heard about the debate. We hear about the debate and we're like, how are they going to put him up front, right? But then they go ahead and do it. He gets praised by Jill for completing a couple sentences, for being, you answered them all. Good job, Joe. It's a blow for Biden, but it's definitely, it's definitely what the Democrats wanted. Now they get to save face and they get to, they're the younger guy, they're sneaky guy, right? So
I mean, yeah, I think people need to be concerned about Gavin Newsom. I do think he can win. I think he has the ability to win. I mean, I don't want to vote for him. I'm not going to vote for him, but I think it's something that I think he's a formidable foe because he's really good politician.
He's a great liar.
Yeah, and they say, liar. Well, Californians don't like him, but they don't. They're gonna. He would win California anyway. It doesn't matter. How Californian feel really is irrelevant. He would do really well in a national stage because again, you're just taking the knock on Joe Biden from the Democratic side, right? Is not his policies, because the Democratic Party all agree in unison that his policies were fantastic, which is weird. But they all say Joe Biden's policies are fantastic. The only downside for Joe Biden is that he's just getting a little too old. Well, who has similar policies as Joe Biden, who almost looks and seems exactly like Joe Biden, but just the younger version, and then all of a sudden they just swap them out? It makes sense. It would actually be a really smooth transition. And the Democrats, they wouldn't care. I think
all they would focus on is that they got the replacement. That's it. I think that's their biggest concern.
Because Joe Biden feels really low because people think has too many gaffes, that he's too old, he has dementia. But once you remove the things that the Democrats don't like about Joe Biden, which you would do instantly with Gavin Newsom, all of a sudden you're empowering the Democratic Party again. They're getting energized again. And all the people that said, well, we're not going to vote because we can't vote for Joe Biden, they would get them back instantly. And I think it'd be a really close race. I mean, if I were the Democratic Party, and I hope not anyone from the Democratic Party is not watching, because don't steal my idea, because I don't want you to do it. But I think he would have the best chance.
I would agree with that because of what I said earlier. Is he's a great liar. I mean, he speaks with conviction and he knows he's 1,000% wrong. but it's that confidence that makes you think that, hey, maybe he is telling the truth, but we all know that he's gaslighting us. And the question that I have for you is, you don't think that America's tired or recognizes the gaslighting, and they
He's
put a
really,
master gaslighter in front of us and they're going to eat it up?
he's really good. He he has mastered the art of starting his talking with one truth so that you believe him, and then he fills the back end with 99 lies. He's so good at doing that that it makes the 99 really believable because he starts with the truth. It's a skill that he does really well. And again, a lot of the people that will vote for Newsom or vote for Biden, they're not voting for Biden, they're not voting for Newsom. A lot of people are just voting against Trump because they don't want to vote for Trump because TDS is a real thing. It is such a real thing. So if you give them someone shinier that speaks better, it's going to excite them because they have someone that they can get behind that's not Trump that speaks really well. Because
Yeah.
again, that's the biggest knocking point. The Democrats don't want to be proud Biden supporters because it's embarrassing, not because
Yeah.
it's policies. No one's going, oh, I don't want to support Biden because I hate his policies. They all think his policies are great. It's so weird, but they love his policies. They just don't like the fact that he can't speak properly. And when you take someone shiny and that speaks really well and you put him in front and you say you're going to replace him, that does really well for that side. And I
Yeah.
think, and people discredit it and people say, no, like Trump's up by so much. It doesn't matter. I think it matters. I think it's a serious situation. I think it'd be better if Biden stayed because Biden is so beatable. I think it'd be better if they replaced Biden with Kamala because Kamala is so beatable. I think of all the options that are on the table right now.
What about Michelle Obama? That's another one.
Big
Mhm.
Mike.
Oh no, I
Michelle
don't think.
Obama.
I think people are too unlikable. I think they don't want to deal with the public backlash. Can you imagine an entire summer election cycle of Big Mike, Big Mike, Big Mike? Like, it just doesn't play well. I don't think they want to deal with that, and it's not a question that they want to constantly deal with because they watch the comments, they know what people are saying. They don't want to deal with the Big Mike situation over and over and over and over again. Every single every single press conference, like, oh, are you a man? Like, they don't want to deal with that. It just doesn't play well. So I don't think that's a possibility. I think Hillary Clinton's too old, so that doesn't make any sense. I saw someone say maybe Jill Biden will take over. I think that's stupid. I think she's too old too. That doesn't make any sense. I think Gavin Newsom makes most sense. And I think they would like to keep him for 2028. And if they don't use him in 2024, I think for sure that he's a 2028 candidate. And I think their preference was not to use him. I think they were just testing him and making sure and getting him ready. And I think the last debate, although it was a setup, I think it was a harsh test that they threw at him. If Joe Biden did really well during the debate, then none of this would happen because he would have passed the test.
I
You
think
know,
everybody knew what was going to happen.
I don't think he was set up to fail. I think they just gave him the most difficult test possible, and they wanted to see if he would perform, and he just didn't.
I think my opinion is they knew he was going to fail. That's why they did it so early, just to get they got the wheels greased early so that they can make that switch. You know, if they would have tried to save him for later on, like a later timeline, I would go with that. But since it was so early, I think they're like, hey, we need to get this ball rolling right now. Let's go ahead and do it and get him out of there. Let's yank him out. And there was a lot of rumors that he was gonna actually back out as soon as Monday, yesterday, early. I don't know if there were fake tweets or posts, but weren't didn't you say, Daniel, that Bill O'Reilly had one?
I saw a screenshot where he was saying that, but I wasn't. I didn't think it was real because I didn't see nobody else really posting anything about that.
Posting it.
But I did see the screenshot where supposedly that's what Bill O'Reilly said, but I didn't check his X. And by the way, X shut down our stream. So,
Why?
I don't know. We had like 600 people, and
Why'd they shut it down?
I don't know. It just stopped. So we're just on Rumble now.
That's correct.
They didn't like how we were talking about him, I guess.
I'm so over X too.
Yeah, no, but everything that's going on, it's got everybody on their toes. Hey, is this what might be happening? Is it really this? Is it that? But we were talking about at the beginning of the year that this year was going to be just crazy, and man, it's proven to be crazy. Did you guys hear about the court rulings about immunity, presidential immunity, to where now the courts are backing off from the felonies that they got Trump on? They're actually postponing the sentencing and stuff like that. They're pushing it out. So I thought it was pretty interesting.
I don't know how that plays out because they made the difference between official capacity and unofficial capacity, and now the courts have to decide what's official and what's official capacity and what's not official capacity. I feel like it's just drawing it out. It's just more political theater.
But it's a tactic at the same time, is that they knew that it's unconstitutional. We talk about this a lot. And us here in California, it's a tactic that's been used for decades. Is they know it's unconstitutional, they'll pass a bill or create a law that they know that's going to get tied up for 5 years or more, but they're okay with that because they're going to be able to, press and continue with their agenda until it's deemed unconstitutional. Okay, and then they'll do it again. So they're just, I think it's a tactic that people need to wake up to. And recognize it when it's happening, because at the end of the day they want to take away our rights, and that's one way of taking our rights, because everything gets tied up in the court system until we try to get our rights back.
Yeah, I think the one I did see. I don't know if you guys saw this case where some lady in Tennessee sued her ex-employer for firing her for not getting the jab, and she won. I think like
Give me good
600 or
news.
$700,000. So like that shit's cool. I want to see
So
more of that.
she won.
Yeah, she won. She was
There
awarded
you
like
go.
I think close to $700,000.
That she
That's
get the
what we
money is
need.
the question.
Yeah, that's to me. I think that's what has to happen.
Absolutely. Next time a mandate comes around, that business owner or whatever company is going to think about implementing something. They're going to be like, wait a minute, this is a mandate. I know what happened last time around. We need the legislature to come up with the law so that I'm protected if I follow these instructions.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
And
guys, I was talking to a guy that works for a solar company, and I won't say the name. I won't say the race of the solar company. But he was telling me, man, that during that whole pandemic thing, while people were being vaccinated and such, that well, he didn't get the jab, but they were charging him every check 90 bones, $90 for not being vaccinated, and that's crazy. Whether that's true or not, to make that up on the spot is a little crazy too. But you know, we all lived during that time, those 2 to 3 years of the pandemic. Is it far fetched to believe that a company would charge you $90 for not being vaccinated? I don't think so.
yeah, no, I can I would believe that, especially here in California. I would definitely believe that.
Damn, COVID was wild, wasn't it? Like anytime I think about it, it's so wild. Like I can't believe that really happened. And we don't. I feel like we don't talk about it enough. We talk about it a lot, but we don't talk about it enough because
We
can you
got
believe?
played.
Yeah,
Yeah,
like
play.
every once in a while, I run into a clip of Bill Blasio being like, "Oh, if you get the vax, you'll get free fries," or you run into like Stephen Colbert doing the vax dance, or
Oh,
stuff
that
like this.
shit.
I'm like, this was so stupid. I can't believe we fell for it. I can't believe people fell for it. I can't believe all these people are still on TV or still in power.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I can't believe we let them completely slide on the fact that they did this stuff. It's so
Yeah.
crazy. They're still on TV. How's Stephen Colbert still on TV? How is he not canceled off of TV yet? He literally did a dance dressed as a syringe. How is that guy still on TV?
Well,
Why do
you
people
see
watch it?
Fauci.
That's
You
so
see
wild.
Fauci, right? You attack them with the jobs, and sure enough, they'll forget about whatever moral objectives that they had. If you're able to pin the public down and make life hell for them, they'll forget about their morals, and they'll mask up. I mean, I look at the pictures, man. I was looking at a picture today where I went to the flea market and I bought a jersey of the Salvadorian guy, right, Bukele, and I'm holding it up, cool picture, and then I look up and I'm wearing a mask, man. I'm wearing a full mask, and I'm just like,
Okay.
God, dude, I
What a
burned this picture,
disgrace.
and they're popping up, guys. It's gonna be in all of our memories when we had to. It's oh man, I hate it. I hate myself for it. I fell for it. They got me. They caught me slipping. I just gotta pick myself up and damn it, don't let it happen again, and it won't. Fool me once. Shame on you. Ain't gonna get me again. The good words of George Bush. Yeah.
No,
Oh,
but that is true. But my fantasy is that Trump comes back and gives us justice.
mm.
I, I'm just hoping. And, I say it all the time. Time reveals the truth. The truth is coming out. They're not reporting on how Fauci's getting grilled left, right, up, and down with Congress. And I mean, it's pretty nasty. I mean, Rand Paul calls him out so much, but right now, Jim Jordan was even asking him questions and winking, and I gotcha questions because it's oh easy to get him on what he said then and he's saying now. That something has to
Is not what
happen.
I was
The
referring
problem right
to.
now, huh?
Oh, he goes, that is not what I was referring to when they catch him in the
Yeah,
midst of his lie.
yeah. But right now, what's happening is that the criminals are, running everything. So of course they're gonna get away with everything. My hope is that we get justice if Trump does make it in. So we'll see. We'll see about that.
Out of Clarence Thomas.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah, I think, what Trump does when he gets back in, that's gonna say a lot about the future, you know.
Hey, in the debate, he did say before he's sworn in, he's gonna do a bunch of things. So it looks like he's gonna,
Ukraine.
start off hot. So we'll see. And when has he been known not to back up what he says?
Yeah, I mean, as far as presidents in my lifetime, everything he said he was going to most of everything he said he was going to do, he did. He was probably more than any other president that, in my life. So I'll give him that.
I was talking to one of my guys today, and he was telling me, he was like, you know what, Christian? He's never told me about, but this guy has only been around and he's heard me talk, but he's never one on one. And today it was just one on one with him, and he came up to me and he said, you know what, Christian? I hope Trump wins. And this is a guy that doesn't have papers. Every now and then he'll tell me, he's like, he doesn't talk nice about me, but I hope he wins. And today, talking to him, he's like, you know, he's aware of what Biden said. Biden said in the first 100 days, I'm going to set up whoever has DACA, right? And who said that before him? I believe Trump said something along the lines, I will fix the people that have DACA. I'll fix the people that are here. Let's just build this wall. Give me the money to build this wall and we'll fix these people. You know, they didn't get the money. He didn't get the money for the wall. He didn't fix it, right? Biden makes the promise in the first 100 days, doesn't fix it, and he's still building parts of the wall. So it's like, yeah, you played yourself again, right? It's it's that playing around with the voters. Gotcha. I'll pay your
Mhm.
school. Gotcha. Right.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's one thing that I definitely wanted to see is a second term Trump because there's no running after that. You know what I mean? That would be like in my mind, it's kind of like you said like my hope would be yeah, he goes hard. He goes hard in the paint. Um but Matt, just kind of theoretically, let's say Biden stays in there. It's Trump Biden. Trump wins 2028. What do you think the the GOP goes to next? Or you think they're thinking that far out?
2028. I have no idea what they're doing in 2028. They got to win first, and I think 2028 is gonna be really interesting
Mm-hmm.
because
AI.
it depends on how much. Yeah, well, it depends on how much President Trump can accomplish in 4 years. I think our hopes are really high that he's going to accomplish a lot. I think we may be a little bit disappointed. I don't think he's going to accomplish as much as he wants or as we hope for. I think that the entire Congress is going to fight him the entire way. I think we're going to run into a really polarizing time if or when he wins, because they're going to be like, "Oh, this is the end of democracy." And I think people's natural reaction when you hear that Trump is going to end democracy, even if people don't believe it in their minds because it doesn't make sense for a lot of people, I think there's still the what if that people naturally live with. And to protect themselves, I think the natural reaction will be is that you vote for president, you vote for Trump as president, but you actually don't vote party line. I think you're going to see a lot of that. I think you're going to see a lot of Democrats that maybe, all right, we're going to give Trump a try because he did better than Biden. So they'll vote for Trump, but they'll vote party line on the other side.
They'll still vote for AOC.
They'll still vote for the AOCs of the world. Meaning,
The
like,
AOCs in the world are scared.
he won't
AOCs
have
in the world are scared
congressional
right now.
majority. And if he doesn't, then he's not going to be able to pass as much. There's only so much you can do via executive order. And I think he's going to be in constant battle and fight the entire time. I don't think they're going to want him to do. And I'd be more nervous if they're like, okay, like Trump's in charge, let's stop piling on him and let's let him do what he wants. Then it's like, okay, well, what? Why? You're supposed to hate him, but you don't hate him anymore. All right, what's Trump up to? And now you get me questioning Trump, right? So you kind of want there to be kind of a push back and forth. So I don't think it's going to be I don't think it's going to, as much is going to happen in the 4 years as people think. People think that the economy sucks and Biden broke the economy fair. I believe that too. But if Trump wins, the economy doesn't get good all of a sudden. Like the price of everything that's gone up over the last 4 years doesn't all of a sudden go down.
Matt,
right?
Are you saying that Trump doesn't have a magic wand?
Like exactly. Yeah. Like,
right. Hey.
Everything is expensive. Orange juice is $8. It's not gonna. Oh, Trump won. It's Trump's president now. Now it's $3 again. It doesn't happen that way. You know what I mean? Like some of the damage.
A lot of people didn't think he was going to do everything that he did on the first term, and things got changed drastically. And I joke around because Obama, said the same thing. It's like, what do you have a magic wand? And all of a sudden, 2 years start coming in, and people start noticing the real big difference. And I think what happens is the deep state is they're playing the long game. Okay, so they're using words like you said, democracy, and we talked about it on the last podcast. Is that everybody's thinking we're a democracy, and we're forgetting that we're a constitutional republic. And a lot of people need to understand, or everybody needs to understand, that there's a huge difference between a democracy and a constitutional republic. And once most people accept that, yes, we're a democracy, but when we become a real democracy, the people don't have power. They don't have a constitution as a charter to go by, like, a rule book, if you will. And the majority is just going to straight up rule, and that's it. And there go your rights. But, we have to take a stance and talk about the United States being a constitutional republic, because we have to remind everybody that we have the Constitution that is protecting our rights. No matter who's in power, they can decide whatever the heck they want to decide. But if it doesn't fall within the parameters of the Constitution, it's a no-go, a hard no-go. So when
I think the constitutional Republican and democracy argument, I think it's a little overplayed because, yes, maybe at the federal level we are a constitutional republic, but at the local level we're actually a democracy. We vote for the laws that affect our actual lives. So when you get all these random little bills that you go through and you pass, you're voting for, am I going to build a road? Am I going to fund the school? you're actually voting for all those things. So you're not choosing people to make those decisions for you. The local laws that affect your actual life, you are actually voting for.
Yeah.
So we're actually both. Because I
In,
get
in,
it.
a, in a way, both, but
It's not in the Constitution anywhere. Fine, I get it. But we do actually vote on the issues that affect our immediate life, and that happens every
but
day.
if it, but if it goes against the Constitution, that's the protection. So, for example, I'll give you an example. In California, they're attacking our Second Amendment all the time. So, in the background, while they passed that bill or that law, whatever they did, there's court cases going on right now. There have been some wins, so they've deemed it unconstitutional now, which it is unconstitutional because it's going against the Second Amendment in the Constitution. So they know that they're playing that game, and we get those rights back, and that's the point that I was trying to make. But then here they go again. They pass another bill. They do it again, and they tie up um, that right in court hearings. And in the meantime, they're winning because they've already taken it away. If it takes 5 years, they took that right away from us for 5 years.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, as far as the I think we need to decipher between local laws and our immediate areas and federal laws and the federal government. I think we are a democracy amongst local, because we choose every aspect of the people around us. We choose exactly where they spend their money. This is
Mm-hmm.
what we vote for. We just don't read the bills before we pass them, right? We don't read all of these. Most people don't realize what they're voting for, and sometimes you just vote arbitrarily, right? Yes, no, yes, no, yes, no, yes, no. Like you don't even know what you voted for. Um, on the federal level, I think the federal government is just too damn big. I think that's the huge problem of all of it is that we have the federal government is too large. They have too much power. They shouldn't have so much power. Actually, they should be in advisory role or in intermediary role where they settle disputes, but that's not what they are anymore. Somehow they are running the entire corporation in the United States. They are profiting heavily off it on our backs. And I think that's a big problem. But I think we need to go back to the fact that we were used to be, and we are at the local level at least, very involved in our lives and the lives around us. And if you don't like the situation of life around you, you got to start looking at your local politicians, the local laws that are actually in place, because people think that a lot of this stuff that we don't like in our lives come from the federal government, but that's just not true.
Mm-hmm.
You're actually voting yes to a lot of this stuff. You just don't even realize you're having, and you have the ability to vote no to a lot of these things that you don't like. You just don't participate and learn about them. I think that's why what you guys do is so important, because you interview and you do episodes with people that are all aspects of government. And I think we need to do more of that. Like we need to know what our local governments are doing, because I get it. It's so much sexier to point our finger at the federal government.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
They don't affect our life actually that much. Maybe on the big stuff, but for our day-to-day life, like is your road good? Is the school good? Is
Mm-hmm.
are they spending your tax dollars properly in your area? These are things that you actually can affect change on, and we don't
Well,
care. I think that's a
I went
problem.
to I went to a local meeting about 2 weeks ago, and everybody should really go to any type of meetings that you can. This was a conservative group that I went to, but they had actually people that were running in local races, and they were up there, pleading their cases and trying to garner support. And it's really interesting because you get a real sense of who they really are. And to your point, you can make a more of an educated, vote rather than just going off of party lines, or if the titles uh, sound good, or anything like that.
457, yes or no? I'm like, what's
Yeah.
Title 457?
Hey,
There's like a
I was
little
on
blurb
the
on the
fifth.
bottom. I don't know what 457.
My favorite number. Fuck yes.
Yeah, I like that
exactly.
number.
Hey,
Like, oh
but
no,
I've
I just voted for trans rights in my school. I didn't even realize
Oh
it.
no. Oh.
You had no idea. You just
hey,
did that.
and I've
I
told
have the
Daniel
House
this
of
too.
Brands every Thursday of the month. Fuck.
No, but I've told Daniel this too. Is like if you pay attention, all politicians have a legal background. They're an attorney, somehow, some way. And they're wordsmiths. They know how to put these things together. They make it sound sexy. You know, they make they'll make a bill sound like it's for the community, but when you start going down the line, it's destroying the community. So of course you're going to vote for something that has a title that's going to help the community, but come on, we've got to get hip to the manipulation that they use. They're wordsmiths. They're Gavin Newsom's. You know, we just have to do something about it. And I think that's one of the things, the way that Daniel put everything together, even coming up with the fighter series and stuff like that. I always say this, we joke around, but not joking around. And, some of these things come up and they're really valid, and we need people to stand up, and we need to support those people that stand up, to have that fighting spirit.
I got a question for you guys.
What's up?
What do you guys think about that lady who is going around jogging and calling everyone weak and gay?
She ghosted us.
Is she?
Yeah. Valentina, she's cool. I think it's interesting.
Because she's running for Secretary of State. It's really aggressive for a Secretary of State election. That's just my take. I don't get it.
It's entertaining.
She's entertaining. She's apparently going around trying to catch pedophiles, which is cool, I guess. But
no, Kim. We go back. Cash is king. Those people catching pedophiles, they're making money. Think about it. They're making money off of whatever those pedophiles are doing. Yeah, they're catching them. That's cool. But at the end of the day, what did you say earlier, right? It's those clicks. It's the views. Yeah. And they're making money off of catching and tricking these. A lot of these people are either autistic or some type of, special, So, it's a dirty game that they're playing. But like you said, those it's content, and it's chances are catch a pedophile. That's gonna get me. I'm gonna fuck yeah, get him. Burn the pedophile today. Oh, I'm gonna click. And it's at the end of the day, it's just another YouTuber chasing a guy around Walmart, making money off of pedophilia. So it's like we do have to be careful, right? We do have to.
What is she doing exactly?
She posted something that she went on a mission with somebody. Maybe it was a YouTuber. I don't know who she was on. And they went to go catch a pedophile. And it was all over her feed. And I was like, that's interesting. I guess that's a good thing.
I think, her campaign from my perspective is, oh man, I guess the way you put it earlier, shit, Christian said it right now. It's gaining clicks and views and reactions.
But why? She's running for Secretary of State.
Are you trying to win, or are you trying to get the views, and then later maybe you get this resume if you're the super base type of person, you're the girl version of Andrew Tate? Women, I'm sorry. I don't know. Are you trying to win, or are you using, your form to be like, this is me now?
I don't hate her.
You're spot on, because look, so Andrew Tate is a good example because he's unapologetic on his beliefs and stance, right? So look at the explosion of popularity that he had. So everybody's trying to find a niche, a way. Maybe, hey, the base, if I go this way, I'm going to capture this base, and I know that there's a lot of support for this out there. So I'm just going for it. And Trump has a similar style if you pay attention to it. It's just maybe we relate to that a little bit more. I don't know, but I think you're right.
Sorry.
Andrew Tate is trying to be a male, masculine influencer. I get it. She's running for Secretary of State. She approves business licenses. That's the job, isn't it?
I think if I'm not mistaken, unless it's different in Missouri, I think Secretary of State's also
certify the election.
The elections, yeah, they kind of help the setup of all the elections and all that, which is, okay, she can run on that, be like, I'm gonna make the election secure and whatever. So,
but she's not. she's running on your weekend gay. I'm like, all right, that's
Well, it's kind of like the college football player that stays in college, right, for that extra 4 years to get his degree. If she doesn't win, and I'm sorry, I'm not bad you or anything, but if you don't win, she's got this content, she's got this persona that she's taken on, right? Hell yeah, calling people gay on the streets. But I'm with you, Kim. I'm with you. It's a little hell yeah. keep doing it. Keep going. But are you trying to win?
I'm like torn. I don't get it. I don't hate her. I think she's interesting. It's just there's just a little bit of disconnect there for me.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Hey, if I'm gonna get upset with Fetterman's wearing a fucking tracksuit and not a real suit, you don't think that type of stuff is gonna get me a little bit fucking, damn it.
He's going out there Adam Sandler style. You know.
You don't think I've been waiting for somebody to call Anthony Weiner gay on the big show? Hell yeah. But
I don't know.
It's one of those things where
like you said, Matt. It's interesting. I don't know, because it goes into just sometimes just being entertainment too. So doesn't make sense for what she's running for.
I kind of want my Secretary of State to just be a nerd, like really good at paperwork. That's kind of what I'm voting for. I want someone that's going to prove my license when I apply and make sure it's like done in a timely fashion.
They have to look like you, DEI or all that.
Yeah, it's like be really good at paperwork. That's kind of my rule of thumb for Secretary of State. I kind of don't want an activist of Secretary of State, but
show me what you got on Microsoft spreadsheets.
Well, that's the thing. It's like, I wish you would have came on. We could have got to like know her more, because I think that's to me, from what we've been doing this year, is talking to candidates, like you said, from different levels. Like, to me, that's been pretty cool, because you get to see how genuine and how real these people are. And I think
you get to see what drives them.
Yeah, what drives them, their motivations and stuff like that. So I think if she would have came on and we would have talked to her, we would have kind of understood her better as far as her angles. But we didn't get that opportunity. Tim Pool did, though. But no, I mean, we'll see how it plays out. I just think it's interesting. Like you said, I don't hate her or anything. I don't. We'll just see how if it works, right? Yeah, I think it's a tactic to be entertaining, to be engaging, or get engagement, go viral. Does it?
Well, you guys got me sucked in. I'm gonna go look up these videos now, because I don't know what you guys are talking about, but I want to watch them now.
She like runs around in like a weight suit and calls people weak and gray. I don't get it. Like, I get it. I get it. I don't get it. I'm like on the fence here. I don't know. I'm not voting for her because she's not in any of my districts, so it doesn't really matter. I'm like just third party observing here,
Yeah. Well, I had seen that she might, or Andy Frisella might have had her on, or was gonna have her try to get her on. That would be an interesting conversation. Yeah. So they're in the same neighborhood. We'll see if she goes on there. That'll be interesting to see.
I gotta ask him when. I will.
I mean, at this point, it's kind of like just like a personality, right? Basically.
So. Yeah, I don't get it.
We got a lot of personalities, man. I mean, we got freaking Joe Biden as president. Come on now.
Yeah.
Come on, man.
Yeah, yeah. We'll see. We'll see how it all plays out for her.
So what has been the biggest surprise for all of you guys this year, out of everything that's happened? We're in July now. So what's the biggest thing?
Surprise?
For you
guys? The biggest surprise for me is that we haven't had the big event that we've all been waiting for yet. I feel like all year we've been waiting for what's the Black Swan event. Like there's going to be another COVID 2.0, something like this. That's going to upturn the world and something's going to happen, and we've all been waiting for it, and it hasn't happened yet. I think that's the biggest surprise. I was for sure in my mind that something was going to happen.
I think
And
everybody was expecting another pandemic.
yeah, and like, oh, it's
I
going to be
know.
bird flu. It's not bird
I
flu.
was expecting
Well,
another Trump
what's that
summit.
other one? That other virus X, or I forget what it is.
Yeah, disease X. Everyone thought that I
There
was going to
you
be.
go, disease X. Yeah.
That don't
Oh,
seem
you
like
guys
it.
forgot about monkeypox.
Yeah,
Yeah, you don't
I
talk
think
about it.
that's
It
the biggest
stops. It
surprise for
stops
me, that
coming
we
up.
haven't hit an event, and maybe it's going to happen. I don't know. You know, I think people were thought maybe it's a blackout, or maybe it's World War III, or maybe it's whatever people thought it would be, and none of it's really coming to fruition. It ends up being kind of a little bit of everything, and maybe that's more concerning. Because we
That's
see
what I
the
was gonna
logistics
say.
system go down, we see transportation having issues, we're seeing bridges fall, we're seeing trains derail, we're seeing little diseases everywhere, we're seeing vaccine injuries, and we're seeing telecommunications go down, and we're seeing kind of all of it, but nothing huge. And maybe that's what it is. Maybe they couldn't do something so damn big this time because it's so obvious. So they're just playing their hand in a little portion of everything. Like, who had planes would be falling out of the air on their bingo card? Like, I don't think anyone thought that would happen. But all of a sudden, now we have Boeing having a problem. We never saw that coming.
Trump has a
So,
Boeing.
Hey, the border is a bigger problem than I think anybody expected. How many millions of people have gone through that?
anywhere from 10 million to 30 million, depending on who you ask.
Any
Hmm.
any other point in time, that's the biggest news ever.
Wait,
Yeah, but they don't really talk about it. Like
AOC
we
knows about this,
She
or
should.
it's just us talking about it? AOC knows about this.
she was crying about it. Of course she knows.
She knows.
Wait,
That's
Yeah,
to
but
me the what was it last year? I haven't looked at the number this year. Last year was like 196 people on the terror watch list that got caught. That doesn't even include what when I was talking to Vincent Vargas and Art Del Cueto when we had them on. They talk about gotaways, basically where they're just counting fucking footprints on the ground and be like, oh, these looks like maybe 10 people got through here and nobody caught them. So it's like 196 people that were on the terror watch list were caught in a year. And it's like,
Is that a lot?
I think it used to be like fucking 20 a year
I
or
thought it
something
was
like that.
single digits
Yeah, it was
when
it was
Trump
super
was in.
low.
And when I think about people like coming over the border, I wonder how many people less are coming over on boats. Because that used to be a big thing where people come in boats, people come in containers, people spread out throughout the country. But like coming in a boat and a container sucks.
Hmm.
Now you find out you can come through a border and you can walk. People are like, all right, I'm just going to walk. I don't want to do the whole boat thing. So I wonder how much of that has shifted. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, less people are there less people coming in on boats and containers because they're coming through the border now?
I
Because
think
that's
it's less competition.
you know
It's
what I
it's
mean?
almost like a business. You got to think about it as a business. So it costs money to come in through the boat, right? And then they're making it more cost effective to come in through the border, right? Like to the point that you're making. But then the smugglers that come in through the boats are like, oh hell no, we can't lose that business. We gotta adjust our prices, for those people so that we can
Give them
still have.
extra pillows in the container. Maybe
Yeah,
comes with a cot now. Like you can buy a first class container seat. Maybe
you can request it on Uber, shit by
you
container.
request Uber, comes with a meal. you
Shit.
know?
Valhalla said that in March 2023, the U.S. Border Patrol Chief Raul Ortiz testified that the number of total gotaways could be as much as 20% higher than the publicly reported numbers. So if they admitted to 20, it's probably 40 or higher.
well, I think it's way higher than that.
Shit,
It,
that's
it
crazy.
has to be.
That's crazy.
And what we've talked about before is, if you want to close the border, it's not hard to get people to stop coming over the border, right? You just tell people, we're not going to let people in. And people will be like, all right, like, do I really want to make this 2-month journey to go across the border, get turned around? If you say we're not letting people in, people are like, all right, like I'm not going to take the risk. It's money, it's time, it's dangerous. There's no incentive to try. All you gotta do is say borders closed, and people are like, all right, like, dude, I think we're gonna sit this one out. I'll do it next time.
All you
Or
have to do is
or
enforce the laws.
better
That's it.
idea, we have Kamala go. Don't come. Come.
Send the border czar. She'll take care of it. Yeah, you have
Do not
multiple
come.
options. You have multiple
Do not
options.
come.
I'm gonna
Multiple
come.
No?
Do not come.
But the problem is, like, what do you do with all the people that are here? You know, and we've talked about this before.
Mm-hmm.
I've heard some crazy things that's happening.
You
I don't
can't-
know if you heard this. I don't know if you guys have heard this. I just heard this last week. All right. So they're trying to give those people loans to purchase homes. Okay. Once they purchase those homes, they don't have to pay on those loans. We do.
Hmm.
I don't know if you guys have heard that one yet.
That's a nice one. I like that. You know,
Humanitarian
I
aid.
get ownership in all these houses.
So I
Some
don't know.
people-
I might want to be in illegal. Where that's happening, I'll get a free house out of it, a free home.
How big of a house can you get? What's the loan size? I think that's curious for me. Because if it's
Well,
like, oh,
talking over here,
we'll give you $200,000 loan and you don't have to pay it back, like, great. Like, it doesn't matter. You can't buy a house with 200 grand these days anyway. So it's actually a moot point. You know what I mean? Or they're like, all right, we'll give you 800 grand to buy a house. I'm like, all right, that's fucked up. You know,
Well,
like,
well,
pay my-
here in California, when Newsom did the whole tiny home things for the homeless,
oh,
wasn't it like 500 grand each fucking little shed?
I think it was like 800 grand that he paid for each
Yeah.
little tiny home. And that tiny home you could buy online for like 30 grand or 20 grand or whatever.
Yeah, yeah. It's just the fucking shed you get at Costco or Sam's Club, whatever, whatever's in Georgia.
It's like maybe 5 grand. I forget what number it was. It's like 5 grand to buy it yourself. Retail, it's like 5 grand. But when the state of California buys it, they buy it for $800,000. Where the hell is the $795,000 going? You could buy it yourself on Amazon by yourself for $5,000, and California pays 800 grand. Where is the other $795,000? And someone did the math, and I forget who did it. Someone did the math on it and said you could have actually taken all the homeless people and bought them a house every single year for the last 10 years, and you still have money left over of all the money they spend to fight the homelessness problem. You could have bought everyone. You could have bought every homeless person a brand new tiny home,
Mhm.
and
hey,
still had
that's
money.
the government. That's the government for you,
Big
man.
government for
Didn't
you.
you know that in Sacramento, in some federal buildings, toilets cost $7,000,
Damn.
Capital.
and this is probably like 8-10 years ago. I wonder how much they cost now.
15
Well,
grand.
But we,
That
It's
inflation
like
is nuts. Huh?
an inch.
That's crazy. That's wild.
yeah,
Man. But yeah, that's like you said, man. That's the government, especially here in California too. You know, it's just like you said, man. And I think that's what we've been trying to focus on, a lot of local stuff, because that's what affects you, right? That's what you see. Because we went. I was in San Diego last week, and we went to downtown where the baseball stadium is, like Petco Park, and I think Gaslamp is there.
Yeah,
Dude, the amount of fucking homeless people out there was
wild.
crazy. It literally looks, downtown San Diego looks like a fucking downtown San Francisco.
It's
I was so fucking disappointed.
and San Diego is such a beautiful place. I used to love going to San Diego, and they've just ruined that place. Just like they ruined San Francisco, just like they ruined LA. But San Diego, like, San Diego's really nice. I love the Gaslamp. I used to love the Gaslamp district.
Yeah.
Well, wasn't San Diego conservative? It's like it's kind of like they're targeting that spot, right? And kind of infiltrating with the homeless people. I'm not gonna stick around if there's homeless people right outside my house, and I could get in trouble for slapping them. Yeah.
No, and
You going around slapping a lot of homeless people, Christian?
Man, you should don't touch this hand.
hey, but in that meeting that I was telling you guys about, some guy actually had a great idea for the homeless, because part of the campaign that this lady was running for Manteca is talking about what they were going to do with the homeless issue, right? And they have a lot of protections, of course, but he came up with an ingenious idea. He goes, they're building up camps, and it looks like they have like 2 tons of crap with them each person, right?
Mm-hmm.
He's just enforce um, the shopping carts, taking those back. We know that those are not their property. They could claim everything else as their property, and that's the protection that they have. So if they have like a Snickers wrapper that it's rolling around in the ground near them, and they go, "That's mine. You can't touch it." Police enforcement can't touch it because they're saying it's their property. But a shopping cart, on the other hand, it's not their property. You go around and picking them all up. They don't have wheels to move around all their garbage or anything like that,
Yeah, I've
and you
seen.
really handicap everything. And I'm not saying that that's going to solve it, right? But it's those type of things that if simple things you implement, it makes a huge difference.
I've seen people with 4 or
It's
5 fucking
crazy.
carts.
Well, what gets me fucking upset,
Yeah,
sorry for
like a
the language,
train. They connect them all together.
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys saw. You guys aren't part of the culture. I don't expect you guys to watch BET very much, but I was, and I was looking at that lady Tajri, right, and she's going off, right. They gave a little propaganda for her to say to all the beautiful black people, shout out, and she's saying, right, they're making it illegal to be homeless. They're coming after, and it's like, whoa, let's take a step back. You want to be homeless?
Mm-hmm.
It's what are the confines that you're talking about? Illegal to be homeless. That's nothing anybody should be striving for. Give me the context. That can't be true. That it's illegal to be homeless, right? And she's out there saying it, and maybe I chopped it up, but maybe she did too, and people are just eating it up. Why? Because it's the BET Awards. That has some type of credit to. I'm not gonna say the race, right? But
What's the race?
they,
I'm confused. What is the BT awards speaking
it's the
to?
Black Entertainment Awards. Well, you haven't seen the little skit where they're talking to Kanye West, and they go. He's talking about these doctors wanting to medicate me. I'm not gonna say the name, the race. They were Jewish. It's just, no, and it's just like, these people eat it up, and it's those, whether you're able to, keep hold of what's going on in the political world, whether it's local, federal, sometimes people just work 9 to 5 and go home and lights out. And like you said, fuck, I voted for Prop 56. Now, I have to take care of a certain group of people, or I have to, lick a doorknob every Monday, something like that.
Damn.
It's we're falling for it. They're using every type of resource that they can to make sure that they have a foothold on our necks on what we can and what we can't believe. We saw CNN right away turn their backs on Biden. You know
Mm-hmm.
that's you can't be mean to old people, man. I respect the office. CNN, I don't expect this from you.
Shit. But I think I don't know. I think that that whole them turning on Biden, in my mind I was like, all right, it's like the gaslighting is catching up to them. And it's like there's no way everybody watched the debate, and as bad as Biden looked, you can't get what's her face, KGB, what's her name? KJB,
JP.
whatever her name is.
Jean Pierre.
She can't go and say, okay, this is deep fake now.
Mm.
And it happened like a week later. So it's like, in my mind, it's like the gaslighting's fucking catching up, and they're starting to get burned.
Because what happens when you're in a relationship and you're gaslighting everything. You eventually, whatever, you go to therapy, but along the line, somebody's gonna diagnose you as bipolar. Somebody's gonna diagnose you with some type of illness, man. you know, and they're gonna, it has to get brought to the light. Enough lies, enough cheating, enough stealing, and it's like you burned every bridge. Who are you gonna believe? You know?
And that's kind of what I was getting at before, is that I think they've gone past the point of no return. The technology nowadays, like what we're doing right now, everything gets debunked so fast. It's like there was this technology and social media and everything, it would probably take months, maybe years, for the truth to come out. Now we're talking about seconds, because I think there's people that just dedicate their lives to debunking shit now.
Yeah.
If they're in the movement and they got certain skills, and they debunk it, post it, and it's over and done with. That's what I really think. Can you imagine the sense of power that politicians had in the past, where they could control newspapers? There was only a couple of channels,
Mm-hmm.
and they were all bought and paid for. Man, they had the world in their palm. And we can complain about technology and everything like that, but right now I think it's really um, unmasking all those people that are gaslighting us, and showing it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Well, it's showing in all those AIs, right? I think a lot of those AI bots, whatever it is, those servers, they're, you know, they're tending to be a little bit conservative because that's where the data, you know, kind of pushes them to. So that's almost a rude awakening where they're like, oh, well, we have to do some meddling, right, in the AI and add some stuff. And that's how people get, you know, where they're Googling up Nazis and they're getting black and Asian Nazis, you know.
Hmm.
That's meddling in its finest form, you know. If we can't control it, look, this smart computer that we have
It,
nothing to do, it thinks on its own, right?
Where is this picture of this Asian Nazi, by the way? You
I will
promised
find
me a
it. You
picture of an
can,
Asian Nazi. I'd like to
it's
see
out
the
there.
picture of an Asian
It's
Nazi.
out there.
Someone's gonna put your picture out there, man.
You just said that this exists. I feel like I need to see it.
Look it up. Look it up. I
Picture
will find
happen.
the
Bobby,
exact AI that was doing that, you know. I
do
think
you
it was Microsoft. Bill Gates. Go figure. Oh, don't sue me. That's fact check me, somebody.
shit? No, I was gonna say that skit with Bobby Lee and Santino, where they're talking about the Asian Confederate. That shit, that just reminded me of that. But no, and then speaking of Bill Gates, I saw a video of him and Dr. Dre were like leaving dinner or something in New York. I just saw it like before we came on. I was like, wonder what the fuck those guys are talking about.
who was it? Dr. Dre and who?
And Bill Gates.
Oh my gosh.
So
Bill Gates is like, you got to convince people to eat my fake meat. That's
Pause.
put it on a wrap or something.
oh
Yeah,
man,
what are Bill Gates and Dr. Dre talking about at dinner?
yeah, it's like two to me. It's like two extremes. Like what? I mean, other than the money, they got money. That's they have in common. I can't. Yeah, what? Nah, I don't know. I just thought that was random. I throw it out there. But I don't know. The world's
That is weird.
that's
Or the
another thing.
kids, Dre.
Oh man.
Whoa, no, whoa.
All right, all right. Let's switch it up. Let's switch it up real quick. Matt,
Yep.
let's get serious now.
Okay.
So from when we first had you on, what was it, like last September? I think was the first time we had you on the podcast. Um, I feel like from then till now, um, you're being more open about faith and God and kind of how He's affecting your life. Um, where are you at with that? Like, what are you finding as far as positive in maybe having those thoughts or being more open about it?
I think it's been a weird journey. It's not something that I've typically spoken about. It's not something that I've ever thought to speak about. It's not something that I speak about normally in my life. Um, I think I've always kind of believed and I've always been a believer. It's just never been overly active in my faith. It's not something that I really thought about often. And I think over the last couple months, especially the last couple months, I've started having these questions around purpose, around why why certain things happen. Why am I in this situation and the place that I am that maybe I don't feel like I deserve? And throughout the process, and I've spoken to some very interesting people, and the common thread is, well, it's God. God has given you an opportunity. God has given you a platform. And my answer to that was, I'm like, okay, but why? Like, it's not something I asked for. It's not something I really wanted in life. It's not something I planned for. And I remember the answer I got one time was, well, Moses also didn't ask for it. Actually, God called him up to the top of the mountain and he said, hey, here's 10 commandments, go tell the people. And he was like, oh, I don't want to. And God was like, no, like, you're gonna do this. And Moses was like, no, like, I'm good. I'm good, God. And God was like, no, like, you're chosen. Like, you have to do it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't even speak well. Fine. Here's a guy that'll speak for you. Go. And that was the analogy I was given, not comparing me to Moses at all. Just the idea that you don't get to choose if you're chosen. That sometimes you're presented with the opportunity and you're put in a certain place, and it's your responsibility to do the best with what you have. And I've been thinking about that a lot. You know, like what's kind of happened in the people that I've been around over the last year. It's impossible. You know, if you said my goal is to meet Trump and Tucker Carlson and Andrew Tate and meet with guys like Andrew Frisella and Sean Ryan, it'd be like impossible. You can't plan for that. You can't make that happen. I'm just like some random guy from the corner of Georgia, right? I'm not from the media space at all. I don't know these people normally. What am I doing in these circles? And I've been thinking about why. And I think recently I had the opportunity to go back to Moscow, Idaho, where I was born. It just happens to be that the person I was born next to is a pastor named Pastor Doug Wilson, and he is part of this Christian nationalist movement, if that's what you want to call it. They're basically ultra conservative. And I got to spend a few days out in Idaho around their community. And I saw a group of people that built their lives around conviction, that built their lives around their core beliefs. And I saw that it works. That somehow they're able to, because they are so strong in their core belief with no give whatsoever, that this is what they believe and their belief structure is the center of everything they build. That somehow living that way, it works. I got invited to so many random people's houses. I didn't know any of these people before I showed up. Everyone was inviting me to their house for dinner. So I had like unlimited dinners. I'm sitting at all these random dinner tables, people I've never met before in their homes in the corner of Idaho. And every single house I went to, their children were smart, well-spoken, respectful, well-mannered. They all sat at their dinner table. They all participated in the conversation, regardless if they were 10 years old or 20 years old. They built this family-centered, faith-centered community of people. And it was like the most beautiful thing I ever saw. It just worked. And ever since then, I've been thinking about it nonstop. Because in this town, in Moscow, Idaho, is a part of, because of the university there is a very liberal side of the city. I'm talking about like all kinds of piercings, all kind of color hair, all kind of letters, all kinds of pronouns, like everything you can think in this college community. And then the other side of this community in this small city is the ultra conservative right. And I'm walking up the street And I realized in the middle of their downtown area, which is really small, I'm walking through their downtown area and I realized how clean it was. Usually, if you go to a city that has that many ultra liberals, the city looks like crap. It
Mm-hmm.
smells, there's graffiti, there's drug use. Any city in America you go to where that has that high percentage of ultra liberals, the city's broken. Every city in America I've ever been to. But yet this city, it was clean. And I was like, why? Why is it so clean here? When I'm walking by the bar, there's like a trans bouncer, there are like weird people everywhere, and yet the city is spotless. Why? How is that possible? And then it occurred to me, it's because the conservatives here, the conservatives in this town are so hard right. They have zero give in their values. I mean, zero give. It balances out the ultra hard left. Because both sides are at such extremes, the Overton window sits in the center. There's balance. Most cities in America, the left is ultra left and the right is moderately right. So that center window actually sits on the left. You need people that are infallible in their belief, that will not give no matter what, that believe to the core what they believe, and there's nothing you can do to change how I feel about it, and I will be unapologetic in my belief. Is that you need that in life. Because without it, you're actually giving it to the other side. And that's what I learned. And I think part of that is just a part of the whole journey, is that you can't apologize for your belief. You believe what you believe, and it is what it is. There's no way I'm going to give in to it because it's what I believe. I think the biggest problem with what we've had is that we're so flexible in our belief. We say, well, I don't agree with trans, but as long as you don't talk to the kids, like it's okay. No, that's not okay. Actually, I disagree with all of it altogether. That's what you think, but you don't say that because you want to be socially accepting and you don't want to be like over the top. You don't want to be rude, but that's wrong.
Mm-hmm.
You have to be. It's what you believe. Why are we saying no? It's as long as you don't mess with the kids. No, like I don't think you should do it at all. I think it should be outlawed altogether. I think it's really sick and dangerous. Why are we telling people it's okay as long as it's not kids? No, that's not true at all. But we say it. We are moderately conservative, and I think that's been a big problem. We just give too much. So all the biggest problems in society, it's actually our fault. We could have stopped it if we stayed firm in our belief harder. But we haven't been. We try to be polite because it's the Christian thing to do, to be accepting because they tell you it's the Christian thing to do. Actually, nothing in the Bible says that Jesus was that guy. For some reason, we were told that we're supposed to be accepting of everything no matter what because that's what Jesus would do. But the reality is that Jesus was really unapologetic in his views. So these are the type of things I've been thinking about. I remember I was there and a friend of mine, Johnny, ended up meeting with me there. Crazy story. And we were like, all right, like we see it. We're kind of seeing the big picture. We're having these conversations every night. We'll have 8 hours of conversations with random people. And we're spending 4 or 5 hours at night just to process everything that we've seen and learned. And in this 4 or 5 hours, we're like, all right, like I feel like you need to be unapologetic, but it's really hard. Like you don't want to be rude. You don't want to be mean to people. But how do you say it? How do you say this? And how do you kind of put your views out there while also not being so polarizing? And we went to church that very next day on Sunday morning. And we went to one of Doug Wilson's church, and we're hearing him speak. It's one of the videos I made when I came back. And the first message before the sermon, one of the guys goes up and he gives a little talk about this idea of peacekeepers versus peacemakers. A peacekeeper will say things to be polite, will hide the truth in order to make problems later. They will hold their tongue because they don't want to be rude. They want to be accepting, etc. Not realizing that it solves the problem now, but creates bigger problems in the long run. And then you have a peacemaker who is unapologetically aligned with his own views, that says what needs to be said, although may be uncomfortable, is better for society in the long run. And I remember hearing that, thinking, all right, and they ended with truth at all costs. And I remember thinking about that. I was like, "Oh, I really like that analogy. I wish I could hear it again." And the guy who gives a little talk says, "All right, can we all pray?" And then he says a prayer, and he says the same thing again: idea of peacekeeper versus peacemaker versus peacekeeper, truth at all costs. He says it in his prayer. And I turn to Johnny, I'm like, man, that was pretty good. I can't believe he said it again. I really wish he would say, I wish I could hear it one more time, because I really like this concept and idea. They do the sermon, he comes back on, and he says it a third time. I'm like, and we looked at each other like, that's crazy. We've been asking to hear this, and they just keep on telling you over and over and over and over again. Truth at all costs, because it's important. So I've been kind of picking up these weird kind of spiritual lessons along the way, especially recently.
Mm-hmm.
And ever since I've had this kind of awakening moment, if you want to call it that, I call it my pilgrimage. Ever since I came back from my pilgrimage, the amount of people that have been reaching out and just randomly DMing me, like, we prayed for you today, or hey, here's a Bible verse, I hope you'd read it, or I prayed, God gave me this verse, I thought it's important, and I just want to send it to you. I went from never getting that message, like no one's ever sent me that before, to all of a sudden I get like 30 or 40 a day. From no one ever saying, hey, we're praying for you, to every day people message me, say, we're praying for you. It's still weird to me. Like, where did that come from? How is that even a thing? So the whole road has been weird. I think the more I'm starting to accept it, and the more I realize that there is a plan. I can't figure out what the plan is, because it would be very arrogant of me to think that I can know God's plan. But what I do know is that I've been given an opportunity, and I got to do the best with the opportunity given. And that's just how I've decided to live my life.
Well, Kim, I like that you used the story of Moses, right? And I don't find anything wrong with you comparing yourself to Moses. We're supposed to open the Bible and find ourselves in the scripture, right? And towards the end of Moses' time, he never made it to the promised land, right? You're not going to be doing this forever, right? But you were chosen to have this type of platform and reach out to people. During what time, Kim? A time where media, social media, and you can't believe what you hear, and you were that dissenting voice during that time, the voice that some people needed to hear, the voice that some people needed to. Again, I'm not trying to blow smoke up but if you were able to get that platform during that time, it was for somebody to hear, and it was for people to start thinking critically. So yeah, I do feel, if you feel that way, I agree. This was your time, right? And it's now you're asking these questions of what did I do to deserve this, right? And I think that's where we all go towards. We see the good grace of God, and that saying it 3 times, the word coincidence becomes something different to you. Is there a coincidence, or did he hear me out? Did he just answer my prayer? It's crazy how things go along those lines. And yeah, you can start making these connections, and it's only going to make you feel better that I'm finding a way to connect this to my God, right?
A passage that I've been thinking about a lot lately is, I remember the verse, it's from Ezekiel, where they talk about the idea of watchmen. And it's the idea of that there are watchmen chosen to overlook and protect the city. And if the watchman sees the danger and doesn't blow the horn, it's on him.
Mm-hmm.
If the watchman sees a danger and blows the horn, but the people don't listen, it's on the people. If you don't blow the horn, God will judge you for not blowing the horn. And I'm like, you know what I mean?
You blew the horn.
All right, give me the damn horn. You know what I mean? Yeah, that's how I feel. Like I feel like I don't have a choice. I feel like I've been given a certain platform. I don't know if I deserve it, but it's happened, and given the fact that it's there, it exists. I didn't do it. Like, it was given to me. The role was given to me, and if I were to not blow the horn, God would judge me for that. So I'm trying to do the best with the opportunities given. That's all I'm doing now.
Yeah, and another common theme, like with everything that you just said right now, everybody that we talk to, or not everybody, but the majority of the people that we've talked to, these local elections going on, they have something very similar to say as to what you just explained right now. So it's almost like a calling. And, we kind of, it sounds corny. It sounds, I don't know, cheesy, whatever you want to call it. But that's the only way that I can describe it, is that people are having this calling, they're talking to God for, direction on what they should do. And the best way that they describe it is, they're just having a calling. And in a society where God has been ripped out, I come from a strong religious um, family background. And I can attest that, as I was going through the school system, all the way from elementary, middle school to high school to adulthood, outside of all of that, society period is ripping God away. And they managed to do the job. They took me away. They made me fall for the fake science and all the other stuff that comes along with that. And we've talked about people then just roam around looking for, trying to find a purpose. And, we're lost. And a lot of people, I hope it's not just, you come to a certain point in your life or age and you start seeing that purpose again, which is, God, Jesus Christ. And I just hope that we could come back from that, because if it happened to me, I can only imagine how many other people it happened to. So.
Every 60 years or so in this country, the country goes through a revival. And for a revival to happen, there are three components that need to take place. First, it has to be intellectual. People need to know in their mind that something is wrong, that something is not sitting right with them in the world. Once you know it in your mind, the second phase is emotional. You feel angry, you feel sad, you react to the new knowledge that you've been given. I feel like we're already there. Third action is just will. What are you going to do about it? And once people get to that third action, third phase, now you have revival. And I feel like that's really where we're heading. I feel like we're at the precipice of the next revival around this country, because I get messages from all over. Actually, I just interviewed the Secretary of State or Attorney General of Missouri, Andrew Bailey. And first off, I really like this guy, like a lot. He is doing what he thinks is best. I think he's trying his hardest. And most importantly, he is a truly faith-based person. And you can feel it. You can feel it in the conversation that he values his belief more than anything. And I keep on running into these type of people. And at first I thought maybe that God's just bringing me these people. And then I'm realizing, no, there's just a lot of them out there. It's just growing. And people are becoming more unapologetic. They're seeing the way the world is turning, that it's too hard left, that is something weird about it. There's something evil about it. And people are waking up to that. People are having the intellectual reaction. People are starting to have the emotional reaction. And now, again, we're at the precipice of will. It's going to happen. I feel like we're right there. So actually, it's a really exciting time. And this is a concept I've been thinking about lately. Because we say Trump's going to save the country, and great, like I get it, whatever. And we say America first, America first, America first. Yeah, I agree. America over other countries. Fine. I'm totally on board with that. However, there is this logical fallacy that the state and that politics will save society. It's not true. God will save society. That's what we need. We have gone so far away from our core moral values in life. And we think that politicians are corrupt, therefore they're creating a corrupt system. No, we have been so corrupt that we have been electing corrupt people. Politicians are a mirror of who we are as a society. If we have bad politicians, it's because we're broken. Bad politicians aren't creating broken people. Broken people are creating broken politicians. So I think that's something that I think about a lot too. If we can figure out how to make the people in America more faith-based, and at least even if everyone believes the same thing, if we agree that there are a core sense of moral values that we will all adhere to, then we can build on that. Right now, there's no core moral value any longer. It's a free-for-all. Actually, religion doesn't mean anything to anybody. It's what you believe, but it's okay what I believe as long as you believe something different. And we'll just respect that we kind of believe each other, and we don't care who's in charge. We don't care what religion other people are. Like, I get it, because we do have freedom of religion in this country, but at the same time, we need our leaders to have a certain shared core ethical moral value. And the only way to do that is if we start doing it. I think it's been a big mistake that we don't have these conversations publicly. I think that's why I'm starting to have more of these conversations, because it's something that's always been kind of looked down on. We haven't really done it. And the only faith-based conversations out there in the world that exist are on faith-based channels. If you go to a Christian channel, there'll be Christian content. If you go to a non-Christian channel, you'll have non-Christian content. Why can't there be Christians making non-Christian content? That should be fine. Actually, that's what we need, and we should be encouraging people to do. So I've been on this weird journey of trying to figure things out. My head's been spinning constantly. And I think the biggest part of me is letting go of the pride that I can figure it out, because I can't figure it out. God's plan is
crazy trying to figure it out.
It's impossible. We're living in a 3D world trying to figure out a 5D plan. It doesn't work, right? But we do the best.
That's where faith comes in, Matt.
Yeah.
Is what is it? Is that the battle has been won already? It's already been decided. We just have to, have faith and follow that path, and that's it. We just got to do our part to the point that you're making. And
it's funny,
a lot of people are afraid about talking about that. I don't know. It's kind of cutting out. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, go ahead.
No, go ahead. I think my internet's messing up.
Oh, okay. Go ahead, Matt.
So I got introduced to someone. He's become a friend. And just a random person that I kind of knew, acquaintance, introduced me to this guy, Johnny. And we just started talking. And it was kind of around technology and, content, whatever. And he calls me one day. He's like, Matt, how do you know God exists? Okay, that's a really strong question to ask, considering we talk about technology and media. How do you know God exists? He's like, I feel like I'm 90% of the way there. He's an engineer by trade. He's like, I'm having a really hard time getting that last 10% into I believe. And I said to him, well, that last 10% that you're talking about, that's the faith part. You're all the way there if you're at 90%. All you gotta do is take the faith jump. He's like, man, I would love to, and I really want to, but I'm, such an analytical person that it's really hard for me to do. I feel like I wish there was a sign.
Yeah,
Man.
I just have you guys watched the Gray? I watched that last night with Liam Nielsen. Have you
Mm-mm.
guys seen that?
Mm-mm.
It's so weird that we're talking about this, and I watched that last night, and it kind of has to do with faith and stuff like that, and that's the part that I think everybody struggles. They want to see a sign. In the movie, he wanted to see a sign. You know, there's many signs that are given, we just don't see them, and we have to be paying attention, and we have to have that vulnerability, like you said, and speak to God, have a real relationship with God, and I everything that you're talking about right now is stuff that I love talking about because it's the I joke around that I'm the ultimate optimist, but this is what it's about. I think this is what gives me the optimism. So I'm
Mm,
going to tell you real quick, going through, like I told you, the journey, and going through school in the school system here in the United States, specifically here in California, God gets ripped out. Then teachers start trying to deliver a message to you, right? I remember in sixth, seventh grade, Mrs. Storm, was pushing global warming down our throats and stuff like that. If you're old enough, you've gone through these stages, and there's all kinds of different things that are filling a void that they're creating because they're telling you this is our God, this is what we believe in, and that takes faith to believe in it too. Because they provide real science for that? No, they cannot. Some of it they can, some of it they cannot. But even those scientists, that when they get down to that molecular level, when start splitting atoms and everything, they start seeing that there is a creator. Something had to create that. So if you dissect it enough, you get down to that level where you have to acknowledge that there is a creator. So that's why when people say that I believe in science, well, God created science. So when you break down science enough, at the end of it, you're like, there's a creator. So who the hell is the creator? And that's kind of going back to that analytical mind at the end of it. That is the conclusion. It just
mm.
depends on how long it takes us to get to that conclusion.
Yeah.
Shoot. Yeah.
No, but you know what? You know
So,
what? I like you said, Danny. These kind of conversations, like I really like. I enjoy listening to them. Um, you know, because you hear how everybody. I think everybody has a different moment or a different thing that happens in their life where you kind of get that light bulb that clicks and you go, okay, yeah, this is it, right? And then it's like you said, everybody gets there at a different moment. But to me, it's like it's interesting to see to hear how it happens, because we've talked about it before, a few times on here, is the importance of faith. And you kind of mentioned it right now, Danny, about when that's removed, which has been done a lot in this country. People replace it with something else. They got to avoid um climate change. That's their purpose. Fighting for LGBTQ rights, then that becomes their purpose. So it's all these other things people are fighting for. And like you said, they put their faith in all of that because something's missing. Something wasn't, that was there, could have been there, was never introduced to them, and something else took its place. And with today, like what we're seeing today is there's a lot of people that are, well known. You can call them celebrities, whatnot. That even a lot of them are actually becoming, Christian, Catholic, and a lot of them are saying that yeah, something was missing, and now that they're turned to God, they feel like that peace. They feel like, okay, this is the purpose that wasn't there before. Um, so we have always said faith is super important. We've always said that, kind of what Matt was saying is the politicians we get in today is a lot of the people that don't have the morals are gonna rise to the top quicker. We said that a lot of times on here, and that's what we see, right? They're missing any kind of sense of spiritual direction, and they're trying to appease other people, other whatever you want to call it, purposes. And I think at the end of the day, that if we all do, like Matt was saying, and what he heard from the pastor, is if we all do stand firm in our morals, in our beliefs, and we stop giving in, I think there will be a correction. And I don't know. I think it's happening. Maybe it's because I'm
Can
seeing more
I
and more
can I
people.
give you one example why I think it is happening? And Daniel, I told you about the show Chosen. It's wildly popular.
Hmm.
Um, Anytime that there's a movie made like The Passion, um, it's extremely popular. There's been other religious shows made about Jesus, and they're really popular. And you have to ask yourself why there's not more of those shows made and more of those movies made. Okay, and why are there other horror movies and shows and other things that show demonic shit on them are being made, and,
Well,
and that's on purpose, everybody.
Hmm.
you know and when these shows are so popular, and you ask yourself, and movies are so popular, when they're religious, is why aren't they making them? They're making money. If they care about the almighty dollar, they would make more of these shows, they would make more of these movies, but they don't. So you've got to ask yourself, and you can't tell me that if a movie like The Passion was so popular and it made so much money, and they come out with, I don't even know the name of these movies that have demonic symbols and meanings behind them. I can guarantee you that they make
well,
peanuts compared to one of those movies, but they continue to make. It seems like they make 10 a year. Like, I I don't understand that, but
well, for me, I think you're just not gonna be beating opening up your Bible and reading it, not your phone, your physical Bible, something that you could put your name on and say this is yours, something physical you could open, right? Because again, even that show Chosen, I fell in love with it. I was enamored by it, you know. But then, as somebody who's dove into the Bible, I'm seeing things. I'm like, that didn't happen.
mm,
That's far away from happening, and it's the interpretation of the directors, the interpretation of the people, and I think that's what brings us to that type of stuff, the man-made kind of thing, the lust, the little drama, the juicy stuff, and it's like certain stuff that I see in there, and I'm like, oh man, they're right there, right? But sometimes the raw word is the most powerful, and then again, there's always a way that you're gonna be let down, right? I think that they put a disabled guy as one of the disciples. He turns out in real life, he's gay. And while they were having shooting stuff and all that, he, it came out on Instagram that they had a trans flag, the gay flag, the LGBT, whatever, if you want to call them, um, because of him. There's always one bad apple that will make you come to
but
their,
that's,
and
like you said, by reading the Bible, that's what life is, man. People are broken. That's what it teaches you. But the point that I was trying to make is the popularity is people are craving it,
Hmm.
you know? And that's the main point. But hopefully when people are craving it and they're exposed to it, it leads them to what you're talking about, is actually making that time. But the point that I'm trying to make is the
The success that it has
the
versus all,
success and the
like
craving
Disney's
that people have for
struggling
that type of
to
message.
make money on all their movies because they're throwing all kinds of agendas in it,
Hmm.
and they like you said, they continue to make it, right. All those, yeah. It's funny because I was thinking about that, a couple weeks ago. I was watching, we were watching TV, and it was like an ad for some, demonic looking movie, and I asked that same question. It's like, why are they making so many? It's like, why don't they just release these in October? I don't know, for Halloween, like, if you really want to, right? But every day there's a new trailer for some demonic movie, and
Well, there's definitely a movement. You know, you see, I don't know if you guys know who Mr. Beast is, but Mr. Beast has a friend that became full on trans, left his
mm,
family, left his kids to go do some lusty behavior, right? That's all it is, man. You fucking want, you like how that feels. You know, you're not worried about your lineage. You just, that's what you're worried about. Mr. Beast has another friend who now he started reading Bible verses on TikTok, you know, and it's not meeting in the middle, but it's that overcorrection. He's around, he's seeing that stuff, and he goes, I just don't want any part of it. I need to cleanse my soul. What's some way I can do it? I have this platform. Kim, you have this platform. What do you use it for? Right, to reach out to people that need to hear, you know, the opposite, right? And he finds himself in a way where I'm sure that guy's his friend, but something in him is telling him to make some time holy, set apart, and read some Bible verses on TikTok to the many little kids that follow him, right? And you see the way two different people are using their platform and what type of reach they have, right? And it's it's future generations.
Yeah. And it goes back to that base, faith based. If it's not faith based, where's it coming from? You gotta ask yourselves. And we actually talked about that when we were talking to candidates. Is that the common theme? Like I said, is that a lot of them are faith based, and you could see it, and it's genuine. That's the important thing. And then we talk about the Pelosi's, we talk about the Gavin Newsoms of this world. What is their base? Ask ourselves.
mhm.
You know, we can say with confidence that it's not faith based. So where else is it coming from? You know,
Woo!
Yeah.
Amen, brother.
But no, you know what, man? Like again, I'll say it again. Like, I like these kind of conversations. Um, when me and Danny started the podcast, we talk about, like, there's certain conversations that aren't happening that need to be made cool again, basically. And kind of what you described with what you were saying with that family together, and the young kids, the older kids, everybody's involved and everybody's in that conversation. Um, like, that's cool, you know. And having these kind of conversations, they might be uncomfortable to some people, um, but
X apparently.
apparently
yeah,
X doesn't like this conversation. Elon, damn it. But they it's good to happen, right? We've had an episode where we talk about why we have faith in God, and why we think it's important, right? When we had Peter on, uh that was one of my favorite episodes, because I didn't, when we do these episodes, we don't know where it's gonna go. We just start talking, and whatever hits. And when we had Peter on, he was talking a lot about his faith, and all that stuff. And he actually did he closed the episode in a prayer, which I thought was cool. Stuff like that, to me, like, it's cool. Like, I can, we can be we could be wild, right? We could be funny, we can be uh clowns, if you will. It would be, yeah. But
I'm not. You
you know
can. I'm not.
but these conversations, I think they're important. Like you said, Matt, more people have to have them, more often and more publicly. And in our case, this is, we're all in different. You're in Georgia, we're in California, but we're hundreds of miles away from each other. And as publicly as we can have this conversation, we're using this technology that, maybe it wasn't made for this. But hey, guess what, Daniel, Matt, Danny, and Christian, God says you guys are gonna talk about this, and here we are.
hey, but let me
When I ask
propose
people,
this.
the,
Maybe it was meant for that.
yeah,
Yeah.
Just
when I
saying.
prayer, I didn't. I haven't asked anybody else since, but
No.
our conversation was so rich with, you know, God, and it was the way to, you know, end that podcast. And he gave a beautiful prayer, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it was cool. It was the first one and our last one. And
Mhm.
but
Shout out Peter.
what were the, what you know, again, what were the coincidences, right?
Yeah.
That we ended up talking, and he gave, I mean, you know, it wasn't uh God bless this food, now we eat. You know, it was a good lengthy, you know, shout
It was
out to Peter.
thoughtful. Yeah.
Shout
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, yeah, for real, Matt. You have a good partner right there with Peter for sure. Um, you have a good team, and I think that's why too you're blessed and you got the platform you have. You know,
out.
um, like you said, we don't always know God's plan, right? We have our plans, what we think we need to do, what we think we have to get to, but you know, I think like on a daily basis, there's a reminder there that it's out of our hands. You know, we can do so much, um, but as much as we can do, whether we feel it's a little or a lot, we can't give up. Because even those thoughts come in sometimes. You go, why why am I going to continue doing this? Why do I do this? Um,
That's
what's the
Satan.
point? You know,
Yeah.
maybe it is right, and but it happens. I don't know. I don't know if you've ever had that thought, Matt, or anything like that, but you start to think like, what's the point of doing what I'm doing? And even then you get a reminder, you just get the feeling like, nah, yeah, stop being a
It's
bitch and
like
come
David
on.
Goggins, famous for running, and he said that sometimes he's laying down on his bed and he sees his sneakers and he's like, I don't want to put those fucking sneakers on. I don't want to go running today, but I have to, you know,
Yeah,
or else I take, you know,
yeah, and
where I'm at.
you know Danny said it before, right? And Christian kind of said it earlier actually too. It's like maybe there's one person out there needs to hear it, causes the ripple effect. That's all that matters, right? Maybe, and that's why, and it kind of ties into what we were talking about earlier. People share stuff to get engagement, to get clicks, to get noticed, and it's happening for them, right? They're going viral, they're sharing all this crap, but there's no substance in what they're sharing. There's no purpose, there's no message, there's no solution into what they share and what's being thrown out there. But they get all the engagement. And sometimes even that gets frustrating, right? It's like, damn, dude, like I was telling Danny yesterday, it's like, it's hard to get people to share a clip when you think you're saying something thoughtful, but let someone record a guy sucking another guy off and everybody's fucking sharing it. Like, even that in a sense gets, like, I don't care when people share shit or not, but even when you kind of look at it from that angle, you go, damn, that fucking sucks. You know what I
I
mean?
mean, you could be the hawk to a girl. You know what I mean?
Right?
Yeah, but those, after you go through certain experiences and you start realizing, you know, faith in God also brings you mental stability too. Is that a lot of people don't understand that um, when you're confused, just imagine, when growing up as a kid, teenager, there's a lot of things that you're questioning, you're trying to figure out, and think of growing up at this time as a teenager, a 13-year-old right now, with all the confusion that's going on. I think it's manufactured, it's on purpose to derail you from maybe the faith that your family has and rip you apart from that and separate you because of all the extra confusion. And it's mental abuse what they're doing. If we want to name it something, it's mental abuse. And when you're I hate to say this again, but when you're the biggest influence in your children's lives or your family period, that's what you're offering is is that faith in God.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're not the biggest influence, we've said it 1,000 times, someone else is. And what
The
is
blue
that
hair,
influence?
Mm-hmm.
Huh?
the blue hair teacher. That's gonna be the influence.
Hey, in my case, that blue haired teacher was trying to be my influence when I was a junior, and some of the things that
Whoa.
I was being told. I'm just saying, but you know, would my parent was that person the biggest influence in my life? I'm not, and I'm gonna tell you, hell no, because the biggest influence in my life was my mom. I am the person that I am because of the way that she raised me and the faith that she put in my heart, and the path that she put me on. So I in conversations, and I really appreciate this because I can actually say it in a conversation. I can only say it to some of the closest people in my life that want to have that conversation with me. Is is that mental health piece? Is that it's mental abuse what's happening right now to our kids in the school system and in society? Period. We talk about AB. What is it? 1955.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and it's helping that agenda right there. So I think I agree. I think everybody here agrees this is an important conversation, and more people need to be having this. You can start off with your siblings, your wife, your husband, whoever. Just have the damn conversation. Talk about it. It's okay.
I think if the men of society start having the conversation, then I think naturally, and especially the men you look up to and you look forward to online, if they start publicly having a conversation, then it'll incentivize men to have at home to have the conversation, to have the conversation at home, to have the conversation in their communities, have the conversation amongst their friends. And I'm not an evangelist. I'm not trying to convince anyone to believe what I believe at all. I don't think I am fit or qualified to evangelize to anybody. But I think it's worth having the conversation because once you start thinking about it, once you start talking about it, it actually starts bleeding into your life, into your morals, into everything and how you affect and how you live your life. I think it just starts there. I don't want to convince anybody. I don't think that's my role in life. But I think I'd be a coward to not say out loud what I'm thinking and what I'm having in private conversations. I may maybe I didn't have these conversations publicly, but I have it with maybe a close friend or two, right? And usually if you have a group of 10 friends, there's like that one friend that you have this conversation with. But rarely is it the subject of conversation amongst all your friends. But why? It's actually an important part of your life. It's actually, if anything, the most important part of your life, but we hide it away. I think it takes real men to lead by example, to lead and have these conversations first, because it shows other men that you can have this conversation. And if the men of the world start having the conversation, then women naturally follow suit, and
Yeah.
then it bleeds into your family life. It goes into your children, it goes down your lineage. But the men have to step up, put their pride aside because it's the biggest part of it, right? Pride. Like,
Mm-hmm.
how are people going to perceive me? And people are going to think I'm weird. Like, you got to let that side go.
Hey,
Once
but
you set aside the pride,
check this
it-
out though. Is that I believe in a time where this was what men did
Mm,
consistently through generations. And we've said this before. Now they don't do it because it's not cool. What's cool though? Let's talk about the stats on football. Let's talk about the stats for the basketball players, baseball players. I hear it all the time. I'll go to a dinner and I want to have a deep conversation, and someone just wants to talk about a batting average and all kinds of different stats because that's the cool thing. And again, joking around but not joking around. This is what we need to make cool. And that's a light way of saying everything that you just said right now, is that the men need to step up and have these conversations, be the biggest influence so it becomes generational. Now those
Mm-hmm.
kids will do it, and those kids will do it, and so forth and so forth.
Well, I was talking to Daniel earlier today, right? And I came up with this idea that, whoever it is, the powers that may be, definitely are trying to feminize our men. They're trying to make men, what are they trying to do? They're trying to make men and women equal, right? But if we go back again, we dive back into the Bible a little bit, and I think it's Paul. when he writes a letter, when he finds the women preaching, and a lot of people, the apostolics or wherever, whatever it is, they say, oh, well, that shows right there that a woman shouldn't be preaching, right? Skimming over the bigger picture, it wasn't that he was upset that it was women preaching. He was upset that there were men that couldn't stand up and preach themselves, that they had to leave that job to a woman. Not that she's preaching. She's got bigger cojones than the guys, right?
Mm-hmm.
But that's not her job. That's not her job. There should be a guy that to stand up. And right now, Matt, you're saying it. Danny, you're saying it. We've all said it. We're not being men. We don't want to, the road of less friction is the one most traveled, right? Or whatever. That's just where all our guys are, right?
And we've let non-masculine men take over leadership of the church. It's also a part of it.
Yeah.
You know, the top of a lot of churches are like really effeminate men. And they are so flexible in their views. We went from like you can't have gays in church to all of a sudden like you could have a gay clergy, and now you could have
Throw
gay
up the
pastors.
banners.
What the hell happened? How do we move so quickly, so fast? It's because we had men that did not stand up for their values, and
Mm-hmm.
they let it happen. And I think that's a problem. I
Yeah.
think masculine men need to lead the church. And to date, masculine men have been too busy thinking about, well, there's all this money I can make because there's all this new technology, there's new ways to make money, and we're blinded by it. And we chase that instead of chasing things that actually mattered.
Yeah.
They've got guys ordering coffees with oat milk.
Mm.
Drink some milk. Drink some milk. That's how you have that lady running for Senate or whatever she's running for, calling you gay on the street. If she runs up on you and call you gay on the street, that's you problem. That's you invited her, and here we are.
You gotta drink the coffee black, guys. Come on.
Yeah.
Oh,
True.
Back.
But you know what? I've always I did a video, I think like a year or two ago. I think it was like 2 years ago, where I just out of nowhere. It's probably one of the first videos I did where I just kind of recorded myself and I was, telling guys to be a good man. You know, you're here to provide, protect, take care of your family. Um, you know, be dangerous so your family doesn't fear danger. Um, and I'm just I don't know why in that moment I had that thought and I don't know why I recorded it. I recorded it and I posted it. But I felt that, yeah, that is something that is important. The men need to step up, you know. We got to be strong. We got to stand in our beliefs and like Matt was saying earlier, right? You can't give in. You have to be firm and you know.
But going back to the manipulation, Daniel, the premise that we kind of started the podcast is identifying the manipulation too. Is that we can't fall for it because pay attention to the TV shows ever since then I can recall mid '90s or so. Tim the Toolman Taylor was a man's man, right? Then you started getting into yeah, everybody loved that. And then you start getting into all these other TV shows where the man is just a dumbass, you
Mm.
know, and the kids and the wife are telling them like basically shut up, you're dumb and stuff like that. So if you guys think that that's on accident, it's not.
Mm-hmm.
It's it, it's the long game.
Yeah.
They're trying to destroy that family structure. A lot of people don't realize this, but in a lot of cultures, generations live with each other. Up to 3 generations live with each other, so that those traditions can be carried on. You know, now everything's separated. I could take it in my personal life, that part of it that has happened. I went off early in life and went on my own. I got started early with the family, and there was a disconnect that happened there. And think about those old ways. Is that if generations are living together, it's pretty damn hard for that to happen.
Mm.
And it's important, and people see that as old fashioned and call me, I don't know, whatever you want to call me, old fashioned or um, out of
Tribal.
date or whatever. It makes sense to me,
Hmm.
and I see the value in it too.
Yeah, and
But
our our long game then is being good dads. Because I think that's one of the things that in my life where you go, okay, it brings me joy. It's like, yeah, being a dad, right? And maybe doing what I do is because I see that my kids are gonna grow in this environment, and I don't want this environment. So, you know, I guess in a sense, it's like I got to do my part to say something, to do something about it as much as I can. And like you say, Danny, it's like you're the biggest influence in your kid's life, right? So I think as men, and especially if you're a dad, it's like, yeah, your mission starts at home, you know, because yeah, there is a long game, and we're not gonna be here forever. Sad to say. Um, I want to be here. I want to be, I think I've said it before. It's like I want to be alive the entire time my kids are alive. I know that's not gonna happen. You know what I mean?
Oh,
You
hey,
know,
fuck.
I you know, I want to pass away when they're 70. That's not gonna happen. That's not realistic. But that's just me as a dad. My two girls, and I want to see them get old. I want to see them be great grandmas. It's just me.
mm,
That's they're important to me, and I think if you're a man and you're a man of the house and you're a dad, it's like you have to, you know, you have to start at home. I don't. I think that's where we make a big shift too. Yeah. So, well, Matt,
um,
I know it's late on your end. You doing good?
I appreciate this. I appreciate this. That was a good conversation. I like
Thank you.
you
Thank
unpack that. Um, you know, having these conversations, at least public, it's a rather new thing for me. It's not something that I ever thought about. Never something that I ever thought I'd be doing. Um, I appreciate the opportunity to have it.
Yeah. No.
yeah, I appreciate it too because we've had a couple like this, but it just goes to show that, like you said, you're all the way at the other end of the country, but guess what? Um, we don't. I'm sure we don't believe on this everything, agree on everything, but this is something that we can agree, and we agree that it's a journey that we've gone through our lives, and we're kind of seeing that we're ending up somewhere in the same realm. So I think it's inspiring, to be honest with you. And I bet you if we could have a conversation with someone in some other part of the country, world, in another country, we might have the same experience. I think it's a good thing.
Mm-hmm. For sure. Well, I guess we can we can wrap this one up. But you know, Matt, thank you for coming on. Keep doing what you're doing. Um, I believe like the information you put out there, everything that you do, you're involved in. It's very, there's a lot of information. People learn a lot from the content you put out there, and I think as as a group of guys here doing a podcast, it's good to see someone like you and be able to work with someone like you. And like Danny said, even though we're on opposite sides of the world, that had we not ever done this, do we ever meet or talk to Matt Kim? you know Probably not, right? um but everything happens for a reason, Matt, right? There's a purpose for everything. God has a plan, and just know that out here in California, you got three guys that are, you know, your friends, and we think what you're doing is a blessing for other people, and I think people will see that and notice that, and that's why you continue to grow, man. So Keep doing your thing.
I appreciate you guys having me on. There is no coincidence. I think everything has purpose. Everything has a plan, and I encourage you guys to keep going. Keep your grind going. Um, don't worry about where it's going.
Mm-hmm.
There's purpose. I think the biggest moment for me, at least personally, was once I realized that I have no control over where things go. I have no control of the direction of which it's going to go. That it's my role and responsibility to act in good faith and do the best with the opportunity given, and let the rest of it just fall in the hands of God, knowing that there is a greater plan and purpose to it. Once I kind of let go of that, and I realized that trying to do things and hoping for certain results, I realized that the hoping for results was also a pride issue, that I wanted to happen because I felt like, why not? I'm working hard. I deserve it. But that's not true. It doesn't work that way.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe sometimes you run into situations where you don't get what you hope for. And that's part of the lesson, to be humbled.
Mm-hmm.
And I think once I kind of let all of that go, I'm at such peace with it. I
Yeah.
I have no care at all as far as reach. I have no care about what I'm doing. Not in that I don't care, but where it's going. It's gonna go where it's supposed to go, and I'm gonna just be true to myself. Living by the mantra "truth at all costs." I believe that people should just be honest and genuine and open with who they are, and you know, even if it's uncomfortable, even if it's an uncomfortable truth, sometimes
Yeah.
you just got, and I'm okay with that. And I encourage you guys to do the same.
Yeah. No, I agree with you. I always say I don't care about the likes or I'm not a big social media person, so we could basically be talking to ourselves right now, and I don't care.
I
What?
was still enjoyed it
Damn it,
greatly.
Elon.
Yeah. And the other point that I was trying to make is that even if you were having this conversation and we're all getting something out of it, whether it's 4 people, 3 people, 2 people, as long as it's not one person, because then you're just talking to yourself, is you're speaking it almost like into existence.
Yeah.
It's like
Mm-hmm.
and it's therapeutic for us, and I believe that it's helping us personally, for personal growth too.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
So I recognize that, and again, not to sound cheesy or anything like that, but I appreciate you guys.
Yeah, for sure, man. Cool. Well, that's it for now. Thank you for tuning in, and we'll catch you guys on the next one. Peace be with you.
Peace be with you.
Training all day, Latino free minds all night.